Diane Keaton, Hollywood's most unpredictable woman, is gone, and the world doesn't know how to feel about it. The Oscar-winning actress who turned awkwardness into elegance and rebellion into art was found dead in her Los Angeles home at 79, leaving behind not just a career, but a legacy soaked in brilliance, loneliness, and controversy. Reporters flooded Brentwood as fans stood outside her gates, clutching white roses and wearing fedoras, a strange tribute to the woman who made androgyny iconic and vulnerability fashionable. But behind the nostalgia was unease. The same Hollywood that once adored Diane Keaton now whispered about her contradictions. The feminist who defended a man accused of abuse. The misfit who preached independence yet lived in emotional isolation. Who was she really? The answer, like Diane herself, is messy. Her rise began in 1972 with The Godfather, when a shy, peculiar young woman with an untrained voice and nervous laugh landed the role of Kay Adams. It was the role no one expected her to get. Francis Ford Coppola was told she was too eccentric, too unpredictable, too off. But he saw something in her that Hollywood couldn't measure: vulnerability wrapped in quiet power. And in that now famous scene, her tearful confession to Michael Corleone, "It was an abortion, Michael. It was a son." Diane wasn't just acting. She was exercising something personal. The pain felt real because it was. Beneath her calm voice was the anger of a woman tired of existing in men's stories. That scene didn't just make her a star, it made her dangerous. She didn't fit the Hollywood mold, she broke it. While others posed, she fumbled. While others seduced, she stammered. And audiences loved her for it. 5 years later, Annie Hall would turn that authenticity into legend. Woody Allen didn't just write the film for her, he wrote it about her. The character's quirks, clothes, and fragmented speech were all Diane. She showed up to set in her own men's trousers, vest, and loose tie, a look costume designers begged her to change. She refused. That rebellion became history. Ralph Lauren called her his accidental muse, and the world began to copy her. But while America fell in love with Annie Hall, Diane was quietly falling apart. Behind the laughter and the oversized glasses was an actress battling addiction, control, and silence. She developed bulimia, hiding it for years, using food and purging as both punishment and performance. It wasn't about beauty, she once admitted. It was about control, about being good at something, even if that something was destroying me. She drank. 2, wine every night, sometimes alone, sometimes surrounded by people who thought she was fine. But she wasn't fine. Fame had made her a paradox, adored by millions, understood by none. And then came the men, Warren Beatty, Al Pacino, and Woody Allen, 3 icons who shaped her and scarred her. With Beatty, it was chaos, 2 egos clashing like storms. He once told her she was too emotional to be taken seriously. She laughed and stayed anyway. With Pacino, it was longing. He loved her, but never enough to stay. She said years later that she waited for him to choose her, but he never did. And with Woody Allen, that's where admiration turned into controversy. They met in their 20s, 2 neurotic dreamers obsessed with art and control. Their chemistry was strange and electric. He directed her brilliance, she amplified his. But when decades later allegations against Allen exploded across Hollywood, Diane Keaton did what no one expected. She stood by him. "Woody's my friend," she said. "I believe him." Those 5 words set fire to her reputation. Feminists called her a traitor. The press branded her out of touch. But Diane didn't care. To her, loyalty mattered more than popularity. Some called that moral blindness. Others called it courage. The truth, as always, sat in the gray area she lived her whole life in. She refused to pick sides, in politics, in love, in morality. Maybe she didn't believe in heroes or villains. Maybe she just believed in people, flawed and full of contradictions, like herself. Through the 80s and 90s, she became Hollywood's contradiction in human form. The woman who never married yet spoke of love in every interview. The actress who mocked vanity yet obsessed over youth in private. While her contemporaries played lovers, she became the face of independent womanhood. In Baby Boom, she was the career woman who accidentally becomes a mother. In Father of the Bride, she was the graceful matriarch watching life move on without her. In Something's Gotta Give, she proved that women over 50 could still headline romantic comedies and break box office records. But even those triumphs were bittersweet. Her roles mirrored her life, always strong, always lonely. In her 50s, she adopted her first child. Dexter, then a son, Duke. "I didn't want to wait for a man to give me a family," she said. But friends claimed that motherhood didn't erase her solitude. It only made it quieter. She lived in her dream house filled with old furniture, black and white photos, and silence. She called it comfort, but some who visited said it felt like a museum, a shrine to a woman still searching for herself. In later years, Diane retreated from Hollywood's chaos. She photographed empty buildings, collected antique hats, and spent hours documenting loneliness. Her Instagram became a gallery of melancholy, cracked walls, forgotten chairs, the ghosts of stories untold. It was beautiful, but it was also sad. When asked if she missed companionship, she laughed. "I have my hats," she said, "and my kids." That's enough, but was it? Friends whispered that fame had turned into isolation. Her relationships with old co-stars faded. Her presence in the industry became nostalgic. Hollywood loved her, but from a distance, the way it loves all its rebels once they've stopped threatening it. And then came October 2025. News broke that Diane Keaton had been found unresponsive at home. No foul play, just silence. The media flooded with tributes. A national treasure, a feminist icon, the last of her kind. But beneath the praise were the think pieces. Some celebrated her defiance. Others condemned her loyalty to Alan. Old interviews resurfaced, old wounds reopened. Social media erupted in debate. Was Diane Keaton brave or blind? A revolutionary or a hypocrite? The truth is, she was both. She was a woman who lived by her own contradictions, a woman who built a career out of not caring what anyone thought, yet cared deeply about being loved. She made imperfection magnetic, turned awkwardness into armor, and made aging look like rebellion. She laughed too loud, dressed too strange, and loved too recklessly, and that's exactly why the world couldn't look away. Diane Keaton didn't just challenge Hollywood, she challenged what it meant to be a woman in a world that punishes authenticity. Her legacy isn't neat. It's messy, human, uncomfortable, and that's what makes it real. Maybe that's why her story won't die with her. Because every generation needs a woman who refuses to apologize. Diane Keaton was that woman, a contradiction in motion, a mirror held up to the madness of fame. And even in death, she has us divided. Some mourning her brilliance, others dissecting her flaws, all of us still talking about her. She didn't just act, she provoked. She didn't just entertain, she unsettled. She made us fall in love with her, then forced us to question why. And maybe that was the point all along, that the real performance of Diane Keaton's life was being unapologetically herself in a world that demanded perfection. And in that performance, she didn't just win an Oscar, she won immortality.